Welcome back. I hope everything is good for you this year. This is the last episode in the series of Ultima 5. Well, yeah. This one was rushed probably a little bit. I know it's taken me several months to get around to doing this. But as you'll end up seeing, there's weeks and weeks of worth of, well, probably a week and a few hours worth of video. Um, when I switch over to the video, you'll find that we start off in Dungeon Doom or Mount Doom, and I have no idea why. It's probably because I forgot to record the segment, which you'll notice I accidentally forgot to record a part of it as well. Not that it's overly integral, because I can tell you what's going on. And there's 180 hours worth of speed ups, 180 hours worth of grinding for level ups, which I made a bot to do. So without further ado, let's get into it. And also note that we have everything that we need. We've defeated the Shadow Lords, we've got the Shadow items from the Shadow Lords, we've got the Lord British's royal crap, crown, scepter, amulet, and all that sort of stuff. We got the oat box that we need. We got all the spells we need, not that we use all of them. But the reason why we level the character up is so that way we can use all the spells. Okay, so let's really get into it. As you can see, we started off in Mount Doom. I'm not sure what I was doing here, but we ended up going from you, or wherever we were in episode 11, to here, so yeah, that's kind of my bad. And of course we've got slimes. But basically I ended up going all the way through it, by the looks of it, then I worked my way out of it. Only to realise that we can't get out of Mount Doom per se. That's because I thought the dungeon was Dungeon Hithloth. Suffice to say, I died real quick. Considering that we're on level 4 and gate travel spell, which sends us to the open world gate, was, well, unavailable to us. It's circle 8, which means you've got to be level 8 to use it. As you can see, we're still trying to get out of this Dungeon Doom. This first section of the game, this first section of this video was about half an hour long, so I sped it up, as you can see, to 3.5 times normal. The second segment is the bot leveling up. There's 180 hours and 30 minutes and 37 seconds. The third segment is the finale. We go through Mount Doom and get to the end, and the fourth segment is, well, the end in real time. We're up to level 5. This is where I got lost as well, by the looks of it. Fighting spiders rats, a lot of slimes, and a few reapers, just to get up to level 1 and just find out I can't get out. And we can't even use a spell, ascend, or descend for that matter. And we finally made our way through it and finally got to level 3 in probably the worst possible spot that you can, particularly without the crayon. In the third segment we'll travel around with the crown a lot more than we have, so the time break that I had from the game really did help to emphasize some aspects of the game, like wearing the crown all the time as much as possible. Since the crown negates all magic, except for the party's magic, of course. And as you can tell, these slimes are a pain in the ass because how they duplicate so often. But once a slime has duplicated X number of times, then it can't duplicate anymore. And that was the entrance to it, but there's no ladder to get out, and you can't use a spell to get out, so we ended up going to the rat trap on level 3, which isn't that far away from the entrance. So as you can see, we died. We lost about 5% experience. So we get out of Britain, Lord British's castle, then we go away from Britain, and we end up going to Dungeon Wrong, I believe it is. Deceit, my bad. So we go from Deceit to Dungeon Wrong, and that's one part that I didn't record. And then we make our way all the way down to level 8, where there are 4 demons in the corners, but we could only kill 3 of them for some reason. So this really does show how much I hate controlling each party member individually, because my brain just can't handle it. It has to recalculate everyone's position from each other, all the commands that it takes for each person to get to the target location, etc, 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 along with strategies and so forth. Got more slimes. We used a few dispel field spells, which is engrav, instead of using the scepter, which does the same thing. But as you can see, the more slimes you fight, you realise that once they split, they can't split again, so they're a lot easier to kill. But the ones that split off from the one that's easy to kill can split again, so you can end up with an almost infinite number of slimes. If each slime duplicated once and each of those new slimes duplicated once, it just does get very tedious. Being able to use a spell like Kill All or Mass Kill, which is in the 7th circle, would be very nice. Most of the AoE or areas of effect spells in the high levels, so level 6, 7, and 8. And we've got a gazer, which we put the crown on so it can fight. And grab again. Only if the game collected all the stats, like how many slimes you've killed and whatnot. That'd be interesting to see. But since it's based on old computers like the Apple IIe and Amigas and so forth, memory is quite limited, so you can't do as much as more recent games can do. But this is the area that we harvest, more or less, and this is me setting up the bot, going through setting up the inventory for them with morning stars, which can go through the brick and whatnot. Magic axes can't, and as you can tell, it takes a long time just to kill one. So at least with the crown, it's harder for them to destroy us. So this is me copying all the messages. I made the bot in a scripting language called AutoIt. It's very nice, very slow though. And here we are with the bot in full swing. But basically, I got it to interpret all the messaging with from the screen, so that it can determine what's been killed and be able to move on and so forth. It's not overly complex what it does, because it can't do much else. If I were to get it to be able to play the game entirely, I'd have to break it down into smaller programs, kind of thing, because there's only like a 2,000 instruction limit or something like that. But basically, each character, each letter is like an 8x8 image, so I used AutoIt to create a checksum of those 8x8 images. So it's I think it's 13 by 12 letter message area, which is in the bottom right hand corner. It used to read the whole screen, but I shrunk that down. So basically it took a long time because it's reading all those messages and interpreting as much as it needs to. If you're interested, I can go through it at a later date. But there were a lot of problems with it, a lot of issues. It took me about a week, maybe 2 weeks, to iron out all the bugs. But you'll find that the characters will pause a moment. That's usually due to the update screen. It was running on another computer, which is my server, which runs Windows 2012 server, which has full screen update messages, which is rather annoying. I know there's hacks to get around it, or registry edits and so forth to get around it, but I didn't mess around with that too much. The things that I did try didn't work, so I mainly just got this done as best as I could. But at least each segment will only go for 10 minutes except for the last one. There's a pause there, so that was an update message. So, as you can imagine, doing this manually by yourself is rather annoying, because at level 1, it starts off with level 2 requiring 200 experience points. So by the time you want to get to level 8, it's like 6,400 experience points, and each demon gives you like 17 experience points. So we're killing 12 demons at 17 experience points, and we're doing it like 42 times for each character. Another pause, another update message. It's kind of annoying that I had to keep an eye on it, but it was a good thing to do, just in case any extra bugs cropped up. And the bot also started recording and ended recording on its own, so it ended up with a lot of videos. The raw, well, I wouldn't say the raw video, but the raw video was like 150 odd gigs. So when I transcoded it to a proper format, it ended up being 32 gigs for 180 hours. And this is probably the second best place to do it. The other place is, there's another place that has dragons instead of demons, but the dragons are in the center of the screen, and I just couldn't remember where to get to it. And that's why I ended up with this place. And then I think I realized that the demons only gave 13 experience points, or something like that. So, but in the end, we ended up getting it working, and it worked out quite well. I couldn't have done this by hand, to be honest, even though it would have only taken 2 or 3, maybe 4 days to do it by hand rather than, 6-7 days. But the difference with a bot and doing it manually is, with a bot you can leave it run 24/7. Doing it manually, you have to take rests and all that sort of stuff, which would have taken it longer. So it probably would have been a month's worth of video if I did it manually, and I wouldn't have been as consistent as a bot was. So in order to do it quickly, I decided to do a bot, even though it took like 3 weeks to do completely. 1 week to design the bot, another week to fix all the bugs, and another week to let it run to generate all this. And the bugs weren't necessarily due to programming mistakes, it was just a lot of functions that I'm probably not quite as familiar with, like the get image function that creates the hashes for each of the letters. By default it is CRC, and I ended up with duplicate letters, like instead of star STAR, I ended up with STAS STAS and stuff like that. So I had to change that from CRC to SHA, which gave me a proper output, so that was very nice. course, since the bot was so slow, but at this level of speed up, you can't tell how slow it was. But suffice to say that one round, killing 12 of these demons took about an hour. Of course, the characters did improve over time to some degree or another, or so it seemed, because doing it 42 times in a 24-hour period, yeah, that's more than just one round every hour. So it'd be like one round every half hour kind of thing. But it certainly did take a hell of a long time. And as you can see, the bot doesn't mess up nearly as much as a human would. And I've had some experience in creating these bots. I've had a lot of experience in creating scripts for an online MMO, or MMORPG anyway, text-based. And yeah, I had so many scripts for it that it was only a few lines to convert it into a bot. And yes, I did that. And yes, I did get caught a few times. Luckily, I didn't get banned, so I know other people did get banned. And so we're pretty much finished. We're just getting out because you've got to sleep in order to level up, which is a bit like Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And of course, Lord British doesn't appear, so we end up going to Britain and trying again. And there we go, everyone leveled up. Everyone's at max level now. Create some reagents, create some a spell or two, and we go through Dungeon Shame in order to get to the Underworld, which gives us the clearest path to Mount Doom. And there I am trying to destroy a ghost, which is invisible, and I eventually get him. And more friggin' slimes. The bellends don't know when to give up. But this is one I noticed that they're quite a bit stronger. Although against dragons, not that great still. And they probably would have been stronger if I didn't use a magic axe, because yeah, magic axe doesn't really let you get all that strong, but it is very useful for long distance attacks rather than bow and arrow or crossbow and bolts. But I did notice an overall difference in each character's capability, particularly when it came to casting spells. I got a bit lost because I forgot more or less where to go. Cast down again, Go all the way to the east until you can't go any further, then blink east, and then go all the way around the east to where there's a pocket in the deep seas, which allows you to traverse the seas a bit easier. We end up resting up a bit. The red potions are cures, the yellow potions are heals, orange potions are wake-ups, blue potions are sleeps, black potion is invisibility, and white potion is protection. And I keep getting besieged. And there we go. We're back in with Sleeping Beauties. Just making sure everyone's healed up so we can get going. Sorry about that. We go a slightly different way. Which may or may not be easier. But we have to fight demons and dragons anyway, which always takes some time. What takes more time is sand traps. They take forever. When you've got sand traps, demons, dragons, and will-o-wisps, yeah, you don't come out alive. In this segment, towards the end of this segment, you'll probably notice some continuity errors. That's because I died here a lot because of these sand traps are absolute pain. Most people cast the time stop spell, which is a circle 8 spell, but I didn't have any reagents for that, so I used the fear spell, which works probably a little bit better. Because when they're scared, they tend to be a lot weaker, so they were a lot easier to kill. Cleared everything out, so we go heal up again, which takes a bit of time. You probably could follow this easy enough if you pop it on pause, write down, or follow it along. Pause, 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 play, pause, play, pause, play. It only really becomes a maze when you're like level 4 or 5. This was also a bit of a pain, but I used the fear spell yet again, which I forgot to use the crown, but we used the crown, cast fear again. I've got each player to cast the fear spell, so that way we'll try not to have any gaps in who was scared or not. Long bats are a pain in the ass always. To get out of this, you hit the brick in the north left. To get out of this, you have to hit 5 bricks on the right hand side. 3 to start with, then 2 more become revealed. You hit them and it opens the pathway north and east. And of course I use the fear spell once again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. here we use the fear spell yet again, which didn't work so well on the sharks, but the will-o-wisps were fairly easy to deal with to some degree or another. And here you've got to hit a hidden brick. You've got to stand above where the water is, towards the top, then go hit the brick on the top left, top right corner. So basically we're healing up now in order to do the final battle. Still healing because we get interrupted so much. At least there wasn't too many slimes. A lot of spiders and rats. Ended up mixing more fear spells, which comes in very handy here because there's one spot just below where the avatar is. You stand on that spot and the lava will start coming up everywhere and kill everyone, including your members. So that's the spot I'm trying to avoid. And we'll go here. A lot of hidden downs. And this is Lord British's room. Then we go into the mirror world. He asks whether you have the sandal box. He opens it and rambles on a fair bit. Then we got the end, the homecoming. Time and weather have taken their toll on the wooden path between your house and the circle of stones. For a long time you stand within the circle in the misty woods, dazed and lost, overcome by the disorientating journey between worlds. But these words are too familiar to lead you far astray. Turning away from the morning sun, a short walk brings you to the doorstep of your own long-deserted house. Much time has passed since the night you left, but your front door is unlocked and opens at a touch, as if to greet you home. Entering, you lay to rest the arms that served you in your quests. Gone are the dark feelings that this day might be your last. Gone are the pains and losses and joys of your victories in your quest to save the kingdom. Gone are also your TV set, stereo, living room furniture, a reminder that evil dwells still in the hearts of men. The night that you lie safe and warm in your own bed, but the comfort of your own home offers no peace. The incessant question in your mind not laid to rest. What of Britannia's fate? How fares Lord British? Is the tyrant Blackthorn unseated at last? Or does innocent blood still spill for the cause of his reign? Perhaps the worst fear of all is that you will never know the answers you seek, as those answers are nowhere to be found in this world. Finally, you get some sleep. You stand in the shadow. Oh, this is the dream Lord British is, of Lord British. I won't go through it too much, but basically Lord British stands in front of Lord Blackthorn. Lord Blackthorn gets up, not wanting to quit, is given an ultimatum to resign to prison life or be expelled to another world. He chooses the latter. Certainly a lot easier when you do it in a summary, isn't it? Rather than having to read all this out. But basically we get at least one answer. Lord Blackthorn has been unseated. And this is where he gets given a choice. Yeah, the Orb of the Moons, if I haven't said, is in the Sandalwood books that you give Lord British. And in this game, the description of the Lord of the Moons is red. It's a red stone, basically. And Orb of the Moons is basically a stone that has magical properties to open moon gates, or world gates, as I used to call them at one point. And that's it. And it took me that long in game. So in game, I spent 1 year, 9 months, and 4 days. And yeah, by the time I completed this game many moons ago, there was no Origin systems. It was bought out by EA at the time, and Lord British wasn't making these games anymore. But it is done. So basically, to recap, the adventure started when in Ultima 1, when you and a few other people, Lord British, Iala, Dupree, Chemino, Jeffrey, probably Julia, I can't remember, and a few others came from your world, Earth, into the land of Lord British. It's a long story how Lord British became Lord British, but yeah, suffice to say that he ruled over the lands. After Ultima 1, you get thrust into Ultima 2, which changed the landscapes of three worlds, I suppose, 3 universes, with a time magic splitting everything and merging everything together. And basically, one land is Sauceria, the other land is Earth, and the other land is what became Lord British, Britannia. So, yeah. And then you get thrust into Ultima 3, which basically changed the world of altogether, collapsed the time portals, and ended up with Britannia rather than Sauceria or Earth. Then you got Ultima 4 after Lord British created the shrines, which sort of happened through magics at the time. And you go upon the quest of the Avatar, which then you get thrust into Ultima 5, which then you end up defeating Lord Blackthorn, another tyrant that tried to raise up in the gap power, or power gap, and tried to overthrow Lord British, only to fail due to Avatar. And then we go into, well, we end up going back home, which then in Ultima 6 we end up going back. So, there we go. I'll explain more in Ultima 7 Part 2 about a few things that you may have questions about, but that will clear things up. So anyway, next is Ultima 6, then we got a choice to make. Do the other sort of side games from the Ultima series, but still part of the Ultima series, part of the world of Ultima series. Because you've got Ultima Underground, Martian Dreams, and Savage Empire. But the Ultima Underworld is, there's 2 games in that one. Number 1 and number 2, obviously. And it is an interesting dilemma. Then it goes back to Ultima 7, Ultima 7 Part 2, Ultima 8, and Ultima 7. I may just do the main Ultima series, then go back and revisit the side games. I don't know, but we'll complete Ultima 6 before we have to make a choice. Anyway, adios for now, amigos.